Today's topic actually is part of a series. So we're doing the 4 Realms of Heart series till the end of the year. And last week we started with the Children's Realm of Heart, which is the first one. And if you remember, the main part of really the Children's Realm of Heart was on, we gave an example of coming to church. You guys remember that? I asked you a question. How many of you guys come to church out of a sense of duty? And then some of you raise your hand, like because maybe you were told to, or your parents dragged you, or something like that, right? But there was also the next one, which was out of joy. How many of you come to church because you actually enjoy service? Actually, not so many of you raised your hand. No, actually about half of you, almost half, not exactly, raise your hand that you enjoy service. But then when I asked the final question, how many of you came out of this heart of bringing joy to God? And surprisingly, most of you raise your hand with that. We've been taught through our founders, Father and Mother Moon, that everything we do, we want to do out of this heart of attendance, this desire to make God happy. That's why we do things, right? It's actually it's a very high level, actually, of Children's Realm of Heart to do things out of a desire or motivation to bring your parents joy. So today I wanted to focus on this final part, which is attendance. And I like to always bring practical, concepts. How do you apply this concept to our lives? So are you guys ready for the topic today? This is, it's about really doing things out of a joy, out of a desire to bring God happy, right? So this concept of attendance, I think a close correlation, there's a Korean term called hyojong. And this is probably Mother Moon's favorite word, hyojong. Okay, it means filial heart. Hyo is filial, like filial piety. Jang is heart. This is, I think Mother's favorite word because so much that she puts HJ on everything, including buildings, including organizations, HA, everything, right? So she really likes this word, and I think it's because that's been her lifestyle and motivation. Everything that she's done throughout her many years of life has been with this fundamental desire of bringing joy to God. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from this kind of heart of hyojang. Again, it's not easy, but it's something we can strive for. So here's a quote. I really like this one. This one is really shares. The term hyojang includes giving one's whole heart. If we had to translate it into English, we might render it filial duty. However, the word duty is not enough. Hyo means duty motivated by love, duty that is not compulsory, but is happily voluntary, and that provides one's life its deepest meaning. So, Mother Moon. Okay, so this is really the understanding of hyojang, this desire to bring God joy, voluntarily, happily, and with deep meaning. This is really the heart of hyojang. And this is what we want to strive to develop in our relationship with God, our beloved true parents, including our own parents, if that applies. So here is the foundation. Might feel like a bait and switch, but today I want to connect this concept of hyojang with the uncomfortable topic of tithing. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys the same similar questions. How many of you have offered a donation to church in the past 12 months? Okay, almost all of you, great. How many of you give that donation out of a sense of duty? I should give money to the church. Okay? By the way, you can do multiple levels, so it's okay to have multiple. How many give to the church, give donations to church out of a sense of joy? I love giving to the church. Okay, about 10 of you. Great. And how many of you give donations to the church out of this desire, by giving to the church, I glorify God, I honor God, and I really want to bring God joy? Okay, about 20 of you. So how about the rest? Right, okay. I know this is a tough topic, but as the pastor, I'm responsible to share it. So today, I really want to challenge your understanding of tithing. Some of you may feel this is familiar, or you already know this, but I think this is really important. For the future of our community, this is really essential. You know, recently, our president, Damien Dunkley, has introduced this concept. He was in Asia for several years, very poor countries, but he challenged those poor countries, the members in those countries, to give a donation to Mother. Usually, they were expecting money to be given, but he challenged them to give. And he was thinking and reflecting, what would be a good challenge for America to do that's equivalent to what he asked the poor Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries. And he came up with the concept. He said, you know what? I really feel that America, in order to serve the world and in order to be a good model, we need to really practice Jang tithing. Okay? And what he meant was, we went through the books, we understand the whole data around our country. Most of our members in our community are not tithing. That is the truth. Even those who are is about maybe 2 to 3%, not 10%, on average. On average, that is the data. It's just the data across the board. No judgment, it just is, okay? And so if America really wants to make a difference in impacting the world, impacting our community, then we really need to get our tithing culture in line with heaven's expectation. And so I really felt the beginning part is really tackling this head on and really explaining and emphasizing the spiritual reason behind tithing. Because the biggest misconception of tithing is that, the only reason why you emphasize tithing is because the church needs money. Well, part of that's true. Definitely, you need money for any organization. But there's a deeper significance to tithing that's more spiritual, and that's what I want to go over today. So, for the full sermon, we usually cover all three, like basics and spiritual significance and benefits. And I'll touch on each of them, but I'm going to focus mostly on the spiritual significance of tithing today. Okay? So in terms of the tithing basics, we have the, how much is a tithe? Anyone? 10% of what you make. Well, let's check the Oxford Dictionary. It says, a tenth of annual produce or earnings to support the priesthood. So that's according to the Oxford Dictionary. And even in Leviticus 27:30, it says, a tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord. So back in the day, the story goes, the priests, they didn't have jobs, they didn't have like salaries or whatnot, but they were doing the will of God, and as they were serving the people, in order to make it sustainable, there was this culture of asking the congregants or the people to give 10% of whatever they made, including like produce from farming and your animals. At the end of the year, you would give 10% to support the livelihood of the priest. So that's kind of where that kind of concept comes from. Purpose, well, this is according to Father Moon, says the purpose of a tithe: return a portion of what you earn to God as a tithe. Give 1/10 to the local church, 1/10 to the national level work, and 1/10 for the worldwide level, 3/10 in all. Well, that's a lot. In addition, all citizens of Cheonggyeok will provide funds for the well-being and peace of humanity, not by taxation, but by voluntary contributions. They will demonstrate the model of offering the first 3/10 of their income for public purposes. So according to Father Moon, actually, he doesn't want to even limit it to 1/10. He's saying that 1/10 is just for the local, 1/10 should be for the national, 1/10 to the global kind of contribution towards peace. So it's quite a high standard. Again, I'm just explaining what was said. I didn't say this, Father Moon said this, okay? But the Bible does emphasize, especially the Old Testament talks about 10% as the main foundation. Now, the attitude, this is, the basics is it's 10% for the purpose of the spiritual work, God's work, local, national, global. But the attitude with which to give the tithe is the most important, okay? The attitude. He who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must do as he has made up his mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. A cheerful giver. This is 2 Corinthians 9:6-7. And this is from Father Moon. This cannot be an imposed tax. It has to be a gift that citizens offer willingly to heaven with joyful hearts. So again, if you want to apply, similar to attending church, if you want to apply this Hyojang heart, then it's really about the 3 levels of giving, right? Formation level is more out of duty. Growth is really out of joy. And third is this heart of attendance with which you give your donations. Does that make sense? So, again, no judgment, just a self-assessment. See where you're at in terms of your donations. And, again, it is very personal, and money has a lot of, it's very sensitive. Money is a very sensitive topic, right? It's hard earned. You have experience of it growing up. It means many things, more than the actual amount or the dollars. There's a spiritual, emotional relationship that each person has with money. And that's something to really reflect on. It's funny, as I was walking out the door this morning, I told my wife, oh yeah, I'm going to give a sermon on tithing today. And then she looked at me and she was like, it's all about the money, isn't it? I was like, hold on. I was like, no. There's the spiritual meaning behind the money. And then, interestingly enough, she sent me a Bible verse. This is the first time she sent me a Bible verse, so I'm going to read it for you guys. She sent me a Bible verse. This was surprising. This is from Luke 18:9-14, the Pharisees and the tax collector. This one? Remember this one? Okay. So I felt this must be from God, right? So I'm going to read this to you. He also told this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous. Okay, hold on. Okay. The Pharisee, standing by himself, prayed thus: God, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even like the tax collector. He was sitting next to a tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I get. But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even lift up his eyes to heaven. So the tax collector was in the same temple. would not even lift up his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. And then I think Jesus says, I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. So you might wonder, what does that have to do with this? The point is this. Yes, it's not just about the act of tithing, which is giving the money and being proud of it, right? Oh yeah, I'm a tither. How about you guys? It's not like that. What God is looking for is your heart, the heart with which you offer things. And the more challenging it is, of course, it means there's more heart necessary to offer it, right? If it wasn't precious, it doesn't mean much when you give it. But 10% of your earnings does mean much, right? So to willingly offer that, look, God doesn't need money, right? But what he needs or what he wants is your heart. And so the money just symbolizes that hard-earned effort to really give it willingly is something that God receives. That you really willingly offer that. Even though it's not easy, you offer it with that heart. That's what God is looking for. Does that make sense? So, thank you, honey, for that quote. I don't think she knows I'm going to use it. But, so going on to the spiritual significance of tithing. And this is really where I'm going to emphasize a few more points, but all related to the same thing. A tithe means that by offering 1/10 of your material possession to God, you make a condition equal to having offered all you have. Although you do not offer everything to God, the 1/10 that you offer with sincere devotion nevertheless holds that value. By offering 1/10 as holy, God considers the remaining 9/10 holy. Okay? So the point is this. God gave you everything you have. Your life, your material things, your spouse, everything you have in life, it's in one sense comes from God. But by offering 1/10, you actually you sanctify the remaining 90%. That's a great deal. Just 10%. And you can sanctify the 90% that you get to keep. So to me, again, it's really by having this heart of offering, it protects. Oh, one more thing that came up while I was reflecting on, as I was driving here, I was reflecting on my wife's comment. And actually what came up was Dr. Jang's message on this topic before. You know, when you say, oh yeah, collecting or the tithe is all about the money, or the church just wants to collect money, right? Actually, the people who complain about tithing tend to be the ones who are the most attached to money. Think about it. Why don't they want to let go of it means that you're attached to the money and therefore you're not able to offer it. Whereas those who are giving the money are less attached to the money. So it's really interesting because when we talk about money and what it's used for, people who don't want to give it are the ones who are actually subjugated by money. Whereas the more you're willing to give it means you're not attached and you're actually able to receive more because you're not attached to it. So this is something to keep in mind as well. Another key spiritual aspect of tithing, you must invest devotion in your tithe. This is the essence of faith. Offering your tithe casually is not acceptable. Your offering represents your own life, so you have to offer what is most precious to you. The most precious thing to a human being is his or her life. Hence, a sacrificial offering should be made as if you were offering your life. So again, we talked about this, but money is hard-earned, blood, sweat, tears, investment, training, all of that was put into earning your money, so that's why offering it really represents your life. Okay, and this is the most important point, and I already made it, but I'm going to emphasize it again. The purpose of tithing is to secure not the tithe, but the tither. Not the gift, but the giver. Not the possession, but the possessor. Not your money, but you for God. If you think about it, even historically, notice that those people who are still connected to the community, our spiritual community, are those who have consistently given their tithe. There's a spiritual connection with offering your tithe and staying spiritually healthy. Because if you're not giving your tithe, then there's no kind of, I don't know how to explain this. It's like this vertical offering. It keeps this humble attitude towards the gifts that you receive in your life. But if you're not doing that practice, then it's very easy to disconnect from God and spirituality. There's no substance. You can come to church, listen to service, oh, that was nice, I'm getting the benefit, but if you're not really giving back, then you're not spiritually protected. So I really feel this is a healthy, I'm saying this for your sake, and I've been tithing since 2000, back in 2000. Before I even earned any money, I was tithing. Wait, I guess you need to earn money to tithe. But I was on SDF for 3 years, and we did fundraising. That was more like 100% offering. But even when I started earning a little bit for myself, I guess I had that culture. But I've been blessed. I really feel that through this habit of tithing, it has kept me spiritually protected, and it has really helped me, even financially, become successful. Okay? So I really feel there are many benefits that come with tithing. So I'm going to end with a few benefits of tithing. I think, that's it. So leave you with a positive note. Okay, well, this is all positive. Yeah, this is all positive. The benefits of tithing, many stories, maybe one quick story of a consequence of not tithing, and then I'll share the benefits of tithing. So one quick story. About a few years ago, I was picking up lunch. I parked the car, and I was walking to the door to pick up lunch. And I remembered I forgot something in the car, so I turned around, and then there's this officer giving me a ticket on my car, parking ticket. Oh yeah, I was thinking like, oh, should I pay the quarter for the parking ticket, or I'm just picking up lunch, so I said, it'll be only 10 seconds, right? But literally 10 steps, I turn around, and it's almost as if the officer was like waiting for me to like leave to give me the ticket, right? So I went back, I was like, look, I'm just picking up lunch, I'll be out. And I was like, nope. And then I'm getting upset, I'm like, oh, why? And then, so I got a parking ticket, right? It's $30, and I'm upset, right? I'm like, what? $30, yeah, it was just a local area, $30, right? So I'm like, why? Why did I get this? And so I was wondering, and since it was so unusual, the timing was so perfect, I reflected, did I forget to tithe or something? That was my first thought, right? And then what happened was, earlier that week, I was actually in Las Vegas. I had met actually Mother Moon that time, and she had given a gift to the different leaders, and I received $300. I was like, my goodness, someone is watching me. So what I felt was, if I'm not willing to give it, then some other public service will get your 10%. Whether it's the city, the parking, whatever it is, I find that when you don't offer your tithe, you'll end up paying for it some other way anyway. So might as well give it to church, right? So I really felt there is a correlation, and because I'm really conscious of math, I think that's also why things like that happen to me. But on a more positive note, I remember one time, I shared this story before, so I'll keep it short, but there was a special donation request that came from International about offering $1,000 for the upcoming blessing, the global blessing ceremony. I really wanted to give the $1,000, but I didn't have money. We were broke. The rent was like $2,000 a month, and my income was $2,000 a month. So I had a family of 4, and we just could not afford. But I really wanted to make it, and so I wrote a note. I said to God, okay, I'm going to give you 100 now, but if you want me to finish the other 900, help me out here, God. Help me out. Help me increase my income so that I can comfortably make this $900 offering balance off of my tithe. Not that I would make 900 so I can give it. I said, help me make enough income so that off of my tithe, I could offer the balance of this donation. So I made that deal. I wrote it down on the piece of paper. I gave the 100, said conditionally on balance will be paid on the condition of my income in the future, something like that. Anyway, long story short, my wife got a job. Of course, we're not just doing that and sitting and just praying to God, right? We are actively trying to earn more money. But my wife got a job, I got a job, we both got a raise. By the end, 1 year later, I pulled out the sheet. And I calculated, and then I was able to, off of our monthly tithe, off of our annual tithe, we were able to pay off the $900 balance within a year. You can give a hand to that. Anyway, my point is, I really believe in the principle behind tithing. And for your spiritual and material sake, I want to encourage you to try it out. I want to encourage you to test it out. And the reason why the 10% is really important rather than a set sum is that by making it a percentage, you're also encouraging Spirit World to help you earn more income. Think about it. If Spirit World cares about this community, and you're committed to your tithe, then they're going to be committed to help you earn more income so that you can offer more. Does that make sense? Maybe. Okay, it may not make sense completely, but for me, that's what I've believed, and that's what I've committed to the past 24 years, and I've experienced it firsthand. And I've been blessed financially, and I really believe it's because of my commitment to tithe. Every time my income increased, I gave that increase, the 10% of that increase, to church, and so it kept growing from there. So again, I want to challenge you to test this out. You can even think about testing it for the next month. I don't know how quickly your spirit world works, or maybe you commit to the next year in 2024. You can also complete on your tithe from this year. All of that is good, but my point is the primary purpose of tithing is to secure your heart. That's number one. Secondary purpose is for your own benefit. Your own benefit. And of course, practically speaking, those donations are used to support all the ministries that we do, and it helps the community also grow. Okay, so to recap, summary, tithing basics, 10%, joyfully to build God's kingdom, 30% if it's able. Main thing about the spiritual significance is that it really makes 100% of your offering protected, sanctified. It's an act of devotion and secures you for God. And the 3 benefits, which I didn't really cover, but a sense of peace, sense of purpose, and I believe also your own prosperity. So for the next 5 minutes, I'd like you to turn to your neighbor, answer this question. Why do you offer your tithe? Or if not, why not? Okay? So I want you to reflect on that. Take 5 minutes, talk to each other, and then we'll wrap up with one final point. Okay, let's take 5 minutes. If we have reflection music. And again, no judgment, just explain why you're not or why you are. Okay, 5 minutes.